What is spiritual awakening really? Awakening really, man, is about you becoming truth. Now, to begin with, you don't really know what that means, and that's cool. All you know is that when you move out of your own way, when you meditate, and when you become more conscious, you feel correct. But what happens, which is really cool, is your understanding of this deepens, and you get a word for it, a term, a label. What that word is the magic word, is truth. Okay? So I want you to understand that when you do become more conscious, you are becoming truth. So the reason, if you're wondering, because you might say, well, why? Well, why truth? The reason that you become truth as opposed to something else is because what you become is consciousness. And consciousness, man, basically, it's the very rock bottom essence of reality. It's the raw fabric of everything. And so, in other words, if we were to go all the way and push everything to its end and say, what is anything? Which is the same question as, what's really true? What we're left with is consciousness and or truth. And I want you to see that you can get that on many different levels. When you've just heard that now, you've taken it in as a concept. Cool. So you've got a conceptual understanding. Maybe you don't even understand it yet, so maybe you don't even have that. But if you do, cool, you've got it conceptually. Awesome. But don't confuse that with getting it experientially, or getting it via insight, or getting it via awakening. Getting it via experience, insight, or awakening are more true experiences of the thing itself. Really, they are the only experiences of the thing itself. Because concept is not truth. Yeah, nice distinction we can make there. Really easy, basic distinction. Yeah, and you want to make that, man, because you're going to study this work, but at some point, you're going to need to drop it. You're going to need to become it. Yeah, that's what this whole video is about. It's about becoming truth. Now, let me tell you a little bit about what it feels like. Because this experience is divine. It's what you'd call the universe. Now, I know like a lot of people talk about the universe, but this is different. This is you really, truly experiencing it, you know. You really feel it. And really, we could say that when you feel this universe or consciousness, you, as your ego self, are barely there. So we could say it's just universe. And you might be like, how do you know it's there? How does it show up? It shows up as presence. It shows up as intuition. It shows up as insight. It shows up as hyper creative intelligence. It shows up as creativity. It shows up as being. It shows up as energy. It shows up as focus. It shows up as happiness. It also shows up as freedom. It feels like flow. It feels like stillness. This embodied is what we call truth. But more specifically, let's get it really clear. Truth is the absence of falsehood. Truth is the absence of, you guessed it, ego. So you are being truth when you're not in your ego. When you can feel a current or force or energy coming through you and it's just presence. And you're just flowing, you're just riding that wave. And you're not in your head, you're not thinking, you're not analyzing, you're just clear. Yeah, you're sharp. Truth cuts through BS. So you can tell you're not in truth when you're subtly lying. Because the ego is really sneaky and tricky. It lies, but really subtly. It lies to itself first, and then it lies to other people. All you have to do is look at any time you've ever lied to anyone, ever, and just realize, oh, you start by lying to yourself. And then it's now acceptable to kind of lie to someone else. Or it's not acceptable, it just happens. So that little lie there, that's what we call self-deception. We've deceived ourselves with ego, we've lost truth, and now we're in ego, and now we're acting in ego. Truth, which is the same thing as presence, imagine holding that ego, or imagine thinking about you lying, but imagine doing that in total silence, just looking inward and being still. That's what we could say is sitting in truth and letting the truth surface, right? Isn't that interesting? Have you ever noticed that? Truth, most people use it in like the relative sense, so with a lowercase t, tell the truth, be truthful, right? This is truth, but just a smaller form of truth. The truth that we're talking about is real truth. It's absolute truth. That's like the distinction you want to make. And I want you to notice that like sometimes you'll see it pop up in culture. Because once you start becoming truth and becoming familiar with truth, you'll develop an intuition. And this means that like you can see big truth in small truth. One thing I notice in my own life is if I tell the truth to someone, if I'm being completely truthful and honest, do you know what happens to me? I become more conscious. I feel uppercase T truth. I feel absolute truth. It's not crazy intense, but I just feel more conscious. And I recognize intuitively what's going on there. And you might too. And you can see the opposite. So when you lie, notice what that does to your energy. Does it purify and calm your energy? No, it kind of makes your energy a little bit more awkward, a little bit more defensive, more protective. Why? Because your ego is an illusion. And when you lie, you make your illusion bigger. The thing is, the illusion, for it to even exist, it needs to constantly protect itself. So this illusion, it gets bigger and bigger, but more insecure, more shaky. So now, because that illusion is going on for you, that is reflected in your energy. Which is why, if you want to become truth, if you want to become, in alignment with the universe, you've got to start by telling the truth. And even more than that, you've got to start telling truth, ready? To yourself. Because as we said earlier, everything begins with you. If you lie to yourself, you will lie to others. But if you're true to yourself, you will then be truthful with others. Now, what does becoming truth mean spiritually? So this is where it's a bit more fun. If I was watching this video right now, I'd be like, oh, nice, man. This is the best bit. Becoming truth spiritually, which is to say becoming absolute truth, becoming reality, becoming God, becoming consciousness. This is where you become free. This is what is known as enlightenment or awakening. So, this is when you finally get there and you feel yourself and you feel it. And all of these things, being there, feeling yourself, feeling it, they're all one now. So you feel, and I'm just going to use silence, ready? Yeah, because I noticed I don't have a word for that. In fact, I do. The best word I can find is God. You feel God. But you don't feel a God. No, you feel just what is the case, which is what we call God. God is reality. Reality is just what is. The thing is, your ego has been cut through. No more BS. You're just dying to truth. Not anything physical, metaphorical, or spiritual. You're allowing your ego to dissolve. Ego death. What remains? Truth remains. You become that truth. So my final thing for you would be, listen and feel. Use your wisdom. Use consciousness. And the reason you use consciousness is because your mind is an illusion, but consciousness is truth. And that's what you're becoming. And again, if you're not sure about that yet, just, do you want to be free? Of course you do. You've heard that the truth sets you free, but you don't really understand what that means yet. Probably, maybe. But maybe you do. Maybe you get it intuitively. Maybe you can sense, when I've been acting in alignment with truth, and what I know is truth, and that knowing is emotional and spiritual and deep, then I felt free. But when I've hidden or avoided or escaped truth, and I've been lying to myself, I don't feel free. That insight, that is the beginning of all of this. Okay. My friend, I want you to know something. I have recognized that I'm changing tremendously. I'm changing and evolving more than ever. I've made little tweaks and little changes, not little changes, I've made big changes in my life, and they are really growing me and helping me become truth. And I just want to make that explicit, just because I feel like it. You'll see it on the channel. But I just wanted to tell you, because that's where I'm at, that's what I'm going through right now. And I encourage you to do what I'm doing as well, and surrender yourself to truth, and align yourself with truth the best you can, or the most you want to. It's up to you. Okay. All right. My friend, lots of love. Take care. And as always, man, peace.